We're given the function f maps x to x squared with a domain the numbers 1 to 4. We put these numbers into the domain, so 1, 2, 3 and 4, and these numbers will need to be mapped by the function to the range. One squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, and 4 squared is 16. Remember, this is the domain, the input values, and this is the range, the output values from our function. This is how the mapping worked. 1 went to 1, 2 to 4, 3 to 9, and 4 to 16. It's quite clear that this is a one-to-one function, with each value in the domain giving rise to a single value in the range. An inverse function would need to work the opposite way. So this would need to be the domain, and this the range. The inverse function needs to take each value in the domain and map it back to where it came from. We can see this quite clearly in this diagram. We can now go ahead and find the inverse function. So y is x squared. Interchanging x and y, and then solving to make y the subject of the formula. We need to decide whether we want the plus or the minus, but the domain of the original function consists of positive numbers, so we must want the plus. The inverse function then maps x to root x with the domain of this function being the same as the range for the original function. If we now turn our attention to this function, which has the same mapping but a different domain, putting the numbers into the domain, we have -1, 0, 1 and 2. -1 will map to give 1, 0 maps to give 0, 1 maps to give 1, and 2 maps to give 4. We can see here that with two values in the domain giving a same value in the range, that this is a many-to-one function. This function cannot have an inverse. We cannot produce an inverse for a many-to-one function. The reason this won't work is if we consider the value 1 in the range of the original function, our inverse would need to map it both to 1 and to -1. So it would be taking two different values. On a graph, this means that x is 1 would be mapping to y is -1 and y is 1. And this fails the vertical line test. If a vertical line test is failed, then it is not a function, and therefore we can only have an inverse function for a one-to-one function.